What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the What the Fun show. Today we are doing a love letter to John Wick 1 through 3 in anticipation, obviously, for Chapter 4. We probably will get a review out on that, but it could be a little while for people to get to the theaters and see it. So with me today to show our appreciation for this trilogy is none other than Kelly. What's up?
Not much. I'm excited to talk about a little bit of murder and mayhem. A little bit. Not much, though.
Yeah. I think like we asked Amazon or we asked Alexa the other day, how many bodies
body count
John Wick has put on the floor, and it was in like the 400s. So yeah, that is just a little bit of murder
compared to what it will be by the end of this saga. However many films there are. It's the tip of the iceberg.
It's all relative, it's how you see it,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, listeners, thanks so much for your patience as far as our content. We, Joe can attest, we've been going through the ringer here at What the Fun. Everybody's been sick, migraines, like family issues, as far as I had a death in the family, so they're just
we're covering the whole gamut.
We're struggling. We're on the struggle bus a little bit. So thank you for your patience. I'm glad that we're able to at least get this piece of content out to you, and I'm hoping, as you're listening to this, that our content will start flowing again. And a little bit of housekeeping for you. We did miss Test Your Might last week, so that goes to show how much we've sort of been feeling, because we're usually on the spot with Test Your Might each and every week. So next week, stay tuned for the regularly scheduled episode of Test Your Might. Our Harry Potter Prisoner of Azkaban review should be coming next week as well. So once again, sorry for the lack of content and updates. We'll get back to it definitely. So. And, hey, if you're listening to us on a podcatcher of choice, please leave us a review. Apple Podcasts is the best place to do it. Takes 2 seconds of your time. Just leave a star rating or let us know down in the review how we're doing. If you're on Spotify, go to the mobile app and you can leave a star rating there. And as always, if you're on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below what you think of the John Wick trilogy. And well, it's a quadrilogy now, but no spoilers in the comment section. Again, this is just a trilogy review.
Did you just make up a word? Quadrilogy?
No, quadrilogy is a word. I promise. Stop Google it up. Google it right now.
I'm not doing that, but I'm not going to believe you either. I'm going to pretend you made it up.
Nope.
Made
I'm
up.
Doing
Gotcha.
It. Nope.
All right. Without further ado,
a series of 4 related dramatic, operatic, or literary works.
That's yucky. That's an ugly word.
Anyway,
quadrilogy. We're gonna quad stack this.
So, listeners, this review of the John Wick 1 through 3 is going to be a little bit of different style. So again, we've done these before. It's sort of a love letter where we go through some of the high level topics of John Wick and not really get into the nitty gritty of each film, because that would probably be a 2-hour podcast. But so we'll just add.
There's not that much like difference between them all, right?
I mean,
it's really just a lot of awesome murdering stuff.
So yeah, we'll go into a spoiler-free review of the trilogy as a whole, and then we'll go into spoiler territory after that, answering some questions that we have designed for this podcast. So stay tuned, Joe. I'm going to challenge you, because this is a trilogy. I want a little bit more from your spoiler-free review.
All right.
Nope,
the patent-pending Jelly spoiler-free review. Here it goes. All right. Are you interested in a spy-esque film? How about Death and Mayhem? Is your thing that gets you going in the morning a little bit of murder? Then you need to watch John Wick. There you go. Yep, that happened.
Wow. Okay, so John Wick, obviously it was a trilogy before the 4th movie came out and made it a quadrilogy. I'm going to say that this whole podcast again, just to screw you up. I truly considered this franchise, this trilogy, as one of my favorite trilogies of all time. I love the action. I love the set pieces. Keanu Reeves, this is his, I think this is his greatest role, because hear me out here. Neo is great. Bill is great from Bill and Ted, or is he Ted? I don't even know. I haven't seen them in such a long time. I believe it's Bill.
I'm not helping.
But this is his greatest role. I really do believe that. The thing with The Matrix and Neo is that, in my opinion, there's only one good movie out of all four of those movies. Like, really, really great movie.
Whoa, hot take. Okay.
Hot take,
okay.
yeah.
Whoa,
And to me, we got 3 good to amazing movies as far as this trilogy is concerned. And so far, the reviews that I've been seeing, number 4 is a masterpiece as far as critics are concerned. So, I mean, I think that Keanu Reeves has established himself as John Wick being his best character. And not to mention the action is amazing. These I think John Wick, the original, the first movie, is probably the greatest action movie of all time that I've ever watched. I love that movie so much, which again just starts this trilogy off so good. I know I got a lot of hot takes here, Joe, but I'm going for it. Okay. I love this trilogy. Yeah. It's so good. These first 3 movies. Obviously, I believe that they sort of go down in quality, but they don't go down in quality like to really bad at all. Like, I think it's good to great, good to masterpiece almost.
Yeah, so, they don't drop off a cliff.
Yeah,
right?
No, for sure.
You know what you're getting into when you turn on John Wick.
Yeah,
it's hard to really mess that up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm glowing over these movies. I think they're so good. Again, some of the best action sequences, best action flicks of all time. I'll take that to my grave. So, Hey, if you haven't seen John Wick, which I do know that there are some people who have not even watched the trilogy. Cicero, I'm looking at you. Cam Hawkins, I saw on Twitter that you just recently watched all 3 for the first time, so glad you've watched them. Yeah, he did. Cicero hasn't seen number 3 though, so but anyway, that was your official spoiler-free review of the trilogy, and now here's your official spoiler warning. Hey you. What's that? What are you doing?
Who, me?
Do you want to be spoiled? No? Well then...
Stop it. Get some help.
So you don't feel like this guy. Instead, let it be a surprise.
Oh, I like surprises.
So go watch the thing before you move on in the podcast, okay?
Alrighty then.
All right, that was your official spoiler warning. So once again, if you have not seen the John Wick trilogy, that's now a quadrilogy. Please pause this podcast and go watch it. Okay, so again, we're doing sort of a love letter, Joe, here. So our first question on the docket is, what do you like about the John Wick character? Let's talk about the titular character right away. Let's talk about his progression through the films and what you like most about Keanu Reeves' character.
I love that he and I almost share a name and the letter J. That's a love letter right there. No, he's
that was done. That's not going to be a YouTube short.
Yep.
Not that we make YouTube shorts.
Anyways, I really enjoy how when it starts off, how human he is. Like, he is just a normal guy who is, he's got the wife, he's got the dog, his wife dies, and then he's sad, and then
he doesn't even have the dog yet. The wife leaves him the dog. Yeah.
As her final gift, because she dies a very long and drawn out death, unfortunately, due to cancer. She leaves him as a parting gift from this world, this one thing to hold on to her and remember her by, and that is the dog. And then, he loves this thing like he loves her. And then, very quickly into the film, we're introduced to some poop head characters, and then we see the other side of John Wick. Like, he's not really a guy to mess around with. He's kind of a tough guy, but we don't know why yet. but he doesn't, he doesn't take to the bullying from these Russian little goons. And I love seeing the growth. I don't know if it is growth. Kind of that degenerative growth from like, hey, normal person to, oh yeah, I'm actually like the world's best assassin.
Yeah.
And that kind
the
of
Baba Yaga.
The Baba Yaga, yeah. The descent or ascension, I don't really know what to classify it as. But whatever that change is, it's not a slow change, right? We don't have to wait very long to see what we got ourselves into. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I like that it was actually not a slow burn to get to who this guy is. It was oh, you mess with the wrong person. They steal his car, and immediately the guy who they take it to, the chop shop guy, goes, "Where'd you get this car? You stole it from who? No, get out of here.
Yeah,
I don't care if you owe me. Get out of here."
That's where I want to interject, because I think the John Wick 1, it's sort of a slow burn as far as the character progression, but the mythology sort of reveal of who John Wick is so good. Like, I don't know how else to put it. The world building of this character, just from the mere onset of this movie and some of those scenes, it's just tremendous. Like you said, Joe, you get this character who's seemingly like, he's moving on with his life. He lost his wife, but he's got a dog now that his wife left him, because his wife knows who John Wick is, right? His wife knows that he needs somebody. He needs something in his life to sort of attach himself to, because what he used to attach himself to is not necessarily the best, right? Being an assassin in this sort of whole world, right?
Oh,
his wife knew that he wanted to get out. He succeeded in getting out. And now his wife is gone, and he needed something to attach himself to the real world, because where John Wick lives, as far as prior to where he is at the beginning of this movie, it's not the real world. It isn't. And so you get this,
not unless your real world involves murdering and like lots of death, lots
exactly.
Of death.
So like, but ultimately, like, I was talking to Sean Rugg about this, friend of the show, obviously, co-host of Test Your Might. And I think me and him came to this sort of understanding, like, despite all of this, like, high table stuff and everything surrounding, like, this underground, like, sort of assassination ring, right? What was cool about the first movie is that it almost seemed grounded in a way that this could be a possibility, right? That this sort of underground sort of thing could be probable. Obviously, it's not realistic, but it could be probable, right? And then that's where it's awesome.
Film history,
yeah,
right?
Maybe.
We've seen enough movies to where it's probable. As far as movies go, you're like, yeah, this is definitely, like, that could happen. Like, that's realistic. Henchmen and goons and like big boss and mafia stuff, like realistic-ish.
Yeah, and so
definitely
like the
realistic
mythos,
as far as movies go.
The mythos of John Wick fitting into all that is just so good that, like, and you sort of get this aspect as you go throughout the trilogy, and then probably when you get to the fourth film, whenever I see it, you get this understanding that John Wick, despite him being under the high table, he is the high table, like he's bigger than them, right? Like he is this sort of boogeyman that just transcends all of the establishment that has already been there.
I view it a little differently. He is death, right? And death comes for everyone eventually. Nobody can escape death. Well, if you are death, can death really get to you? And that's kind of how I view John Wick. John Wick is not just the boogeyman, but he's the Reaper.
Yeah.
Can you kill a Reaper? Nah.
Well, that's why I mean we are saying the same side, two different sides of the same coin, right? Like this sort of like reaper of souls that John Wick is, it's above the high table. Like the high table can do whatever it wants. By the way, listeners, obviously the high table is like this sort of organization that John Wick used to be an assassin for. Anyway, you should know that because we're in spoiler territory. Go watch the movies.
They know that.
Anyway, so like John Wick, like as you said, like he is this sort of reaper that lives above, and he has this sort of persona and enigma about him that people just understand who John Wick is. And like that's why you get one of my favorite scenes in the whole trilogy, and you've already mentioned it. When that car is brought to the dealership, he already knows whose car that is. And the best part about that scene is that the very following scene, after John Wick cleans up all of his house from all the blood and buries the dog ceremoniously, right? He goes to that garage. He's like, "Hey, have you seen my car?" And he's like, "Yeah, I turned him away." So it's just...
Yeah,
it's
I knew
just
better.
awesome.
I'm sorry, Mr. John Wick. My apologies. I was not involved. Please don't look at me.
And so obviously you get to the point where John Wick, declares that he is back, right? He's gone on this murder spree. He's trying to get, let's see here, Alfie Allen's character, Yosef Tarasov, who's the son of Viggo Tarasov, and he's the son steals John Wick's car, right? And he's trying to get to him. John Wick's trying to get him, and he goes on this murder spree, and, he eventually realizes, even though he's trying to get back, even though this is the last thing he wants to do, trying to get back to that old simple life with just a dog, he does realize that he's back. He declares it. He's thinking he's back, right?
Oh yeah. Eventually he does declare it, but he kind of half, he steps in, toes in the water, and then maybe like a foot in the water. And he's like, no. Like, I still want to be a normal guy, right? I still want a family. I wish I could have my wife back. But yeah, then he by the end of the first film, I'm back. And you're like, okay, he's definitely back now.
Yeah. Everybody keeps asking me if I'm back, and you know what? I'm thinking I'm back. That sort of thing, and. Just again, like sort of the character building of John Wick is just tremendous in this first movie, and then you get on to the second movie where you sort of pick up where he left off in John Wick 1, right? But he's trying to get back to that normal life, and then he goes, and there is this aspect of a marker, and him and this one character, I forget his name, Salvatore.
Santino D'Antonio.
Santino D'Antonio. He shares a marker where essentially what Santino did for John Wick owes him. It is a blood oth, right? That John Wick
blood
owes
oath
him.
covenant.
Mm-hmm. And again, John Wick, it sort of goes back to the understanding and tries to establish it even further that John Wick is, again, he is above the high table. He is above this sort of organization because he tells Santino no.
He tries to at first.
Yeah. Can you expound on that?
I mean, yeah, sure. Are we doing plot by plot, or are we love lettering?
No. I'm just,
I mean,
again, we're still love lettering it, but just like this movie establishes himself as being bigger than what the high table is.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just another instance where he shows that he's not going to play by their rules. This guy, John Wick, he has his own set of morals that he has, since he got out, established, and in getting back in, his whole goal is just to be like, hey, I want to live so that I can keep the memory of my wife alive in me, and I will do whatever I have to do that. And whether that is take out a seated member of the high table, who is D'Antonio's sister, who absconded the seat from Santino on this blood oath covenant. He goes, "You owe me, John. Kill my sister." then Santino stabs him in the back and puts a bounty out on his head for killing his sister. That's a bit messed up.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So John
messed
Wick
up.
being John Wick, John Wicks it up, and he gets back to Santino, and he disposes of him.
Yeah.
But he does it, on continental grounds in a sacred place.
Well, and that's what the tagline of John Wick 2, the poster says. It says, "Never stab the devil in the back," because Santino full well knew that who he was dealing with, and he decided to go against him.
Did he know?
I mean, apparently not. Not enough. So then John Wick again. He goes to the third movie, and we once again see his progression, and I think where he gets to, in the third film is more so like I love the determination that he has, and he essentially says, nothing is going to stop me from getting my life back, even if it takes me 7 films. Like that is his character. That is who he stands for. And he wants to ride into the sunset with his dog in a 1969 or 1965 Mustang, right? Like he wants
fastback, nothing big.
He wants to be done with all this, right?
But does he?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think so.
I have not seen that yet, and having just watched all 3 films, it seems like what he really wants to do is kill people. And I say that because what he does a lot of 439 times at the end of the third film, I believe, is kill people. So that's
a lot.
More than anything else, we don't see him hug a single person. So I don't think he's looking for that love in his life. I think he just wants to pokey and stab people. Right. Lots of shooting too.
A lot of shooting too. But I mean, by the end of the third movie, you again, you see the concept of revenge, and you understand that nothing can oppose John Wick when he's on a revenge streak,
Yeah, I don't know if it's vengeance or if he just wants to break the system like anarchist, but there's something there.
I think it is sort of vengeance and revenge, because I think that what you come to understand as far as this character is that everything in his life has been essentially taken away at this point by the High Table. There was either his house, literally his house in the second movie was bombed to death by a member, or he wasn't a member. Santino wasn't a member of the High Table just yet. His sister was. And so, and then in the third movie, like, the High Table took his finger. Like, it seems like this.
He took his own finger.
Well, yeah, but it was of the High Table's doing, right? Like, he sort of, So, I don't know. I think it does eventually come back to sort of a revenge film. I mean, it was set out from the start, right? Like, everybody was saying, "You're doing this because of a car and a puppy?" And he's like, "It's not the car and the puppy. It's the memories that those represent, and you guys are ruining that.
It's what you took from me."
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's move on, Joe. Favorite side characters in the movie? In the movies.
Are we gonna go one for one, and like, if I take it, you can't have it draft style, or are we just gonna talk about them?
That sounds fun. Let's do it.
Favorite side character. I'm taking Sharon, the concierge of the Continental. Lance Reddick.
Yeah, Lance Reddick.
He's a vamp.
Definitely gonna take a moment to shout out him. Gone too soon.
So good.
Gone too soon.
Yes.
And rest in peace, Lance Reddick. Seriously, like, man, he has
in this film,
he has a minimal role, I think, in the first movie, but then it continues to expand, and that's what's awesome about it. And he kills it every single time. He is such a wonderful piece of this movie. this movie
perfect.
series.
He plays his role perfectly.
Okay.
Right, who you got?
I got to go with Winston then. I got to go with Winston, who is the manager of the Continental, the New York Continental. Yeah, I got to go with Winston. He's such a cool character throughout the whole trilogy. Just his ability to manage the Continental, but also to be one step ahead of the high table, it seems, as you get further and further on into the trilogy. So
yeah, he definitely understands how that world works.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, we're still on the first movie. Another side character. Go ahead.
I thought we were picking from any movie. I am gonna stick with the first movie though. Willem Dafoe. I don't remember his name. Yeah, I know. He's so good. He's so good. But just his character, right? He's like mentor and friend and just all around good bad guy.
He is.
I know that doesn't make sense.
He's a decent bad guy, right? Like, but he's not a bad guy.
Not really. But I mean, they do murder people for a living, so they're kind of bad.
All right, sure.
He's a really good bad guy, though.
yeah. Sure. Okay.
They're all bad guys. Like, let's get that out of the way. Everybody in this world, they're bad people. Like they literally murder people for money.
Are you
I don't
sure?
know if you can get much worse than that. Or gold coins, technically. I don't know if it's real money. So.
Okay, so how about we take two characters from each movie? So you got those two. I'm gonna go. John Leguizamo's Aurelio. He is the owner of that shop who tells the son
Joseph
to go off,
get packing.
Yeah, with that. So yeah, okay. Number two.
You go first. Give me a second to think about it.
Okay, yeah. I will go first. I'm pulling up the IMDb of the characters so that I am reminded. I gotta go with Lawrence Fishburne. I gotta take that off the.
Just gonna pull him right off the table.
Yeah, pull him right off the table, so you can't get him in the third movie either. He is the Bowery King. He is the Lord of the Underground, so to speak. He is. His minions are the homeless. I'm going to put quotes here. Homeless people around the city of New York. They are working for him. These guys are clearly not homeless. They have all the money they can need. They have all the firepower that they can need. They have a leader who seems to be, a good king. He calls himself, right? He is the Bowery King, right? A king. So, but also the other reason that he's such a good character is just the chemistry that him and Keanu have, going obviously all the way back to the Matrix trilogy, right? Like these two play off each other so well in that scene, and so that's why he's another one of my favorite side characters. Your turn.
Dang it. I will scoop up. Got Cassian.
Okay. Yeah.
The assassin who comes after him, and just for that one scene where he's like, hey, that thing's in your aorta. If you pull it out, you're gonna die, but I'm giving you a chance here now. Like, leave it there and you're good. So don't come after me, right? We're good right now. I really enjoyed that scene. I thought it was fun. I thought it was friendly, as far as however friendly assassins can be towards one another when they're trying to murder each other.
Right.
I like that John Wick does that, because it's not the first time and it's not the last time in the series, but he gives them the opportunity to, live if they want to.
Yeah. So, again, just like that whole fight scene on the train between him and Common, and Cassius is his name, or Cassian, sorry.
Yeah.
Was so good. And then, as you said, like it's what's amazing about the John Wick character as well is that in those moments, he shows a particular kind of grace that you don't think a Reaper would have, right? He says to Cassian, he's like, consider this, a friendly whatever. I forget what he says, but yeah, he stabs himself in
courtesy.
Friendly courtesy. He stabs Cassian in a way that if he pulls the knife out, he will die. Just gives him that grace. Like, hey, you can either pull out the knife right now and try to kill me, but you will die. Or you have the chance to go to a hospital, pull the knife out there, and they can maybe save you, right? So
yeah, they'll be able to save you if you don't stab me in the back.
If you don't stab me in the back, right? Okay, I am going to go with Ruby Rose's character, Ares.
Oh.
You didn't like it? Yeah.
God, she's like my least favorite of the film.
So I liked the sort of deaf element to it. Like I think that was a unique sort of character style to an assassin, to a hit girl, right? Like I thought it was pretty fun. But also the fact that John Wick knows sign language and can communicate with her in that way too, just had those sort of like comedic elements to it. For me, at least as far as she goes, like she's never really a competition for John Wick, right? We have John Wick, the best murderer, and he's easily got 80 pounds on this poor little girl. Like there's no shot she's going to take him out unless it's from a distance with a sniper rifle. So when they go hand to hand, I'm just like really? Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but like, no. Another one, and just a quick sidetrack here. There's a Netflix series, features a deaf person, same sort of thing. Very cool. I do like that aspect.
Oh, okay.
But not a good enemy for him to be fighting. Just a bit of a joke for me. I don't really have any other.
Yeah. I didn't see it. I didn't see it as a joke. But yeah, regardless.
For me.
Yeah. You have to choose.
I don't have to choose. I'm gonna be like, nobody else. The Doctor. How's that? Boom.
I like
Love
it.
the Doctor.
I like it.
The Doctor is a great character. He kind of has the morals too. I probably should have saved him for the third film because he's better than that. But the Doctor.
No, but it takes him off the board, so I can't take him on the third movie.
Yep.
All right, John Wick 3, you're first.
Oh shucks. The dogs. The dogs in John Wick 3. I'm taking them. They're off the table.
Taking the dogs, huh?
Those dogs are bamf, right? Those dogs are awesome. I love seeing a good dog, and they were great dogs. They did exactly what they're supposed to on set, the way they attack people, and they're beautiful puppies. So yeah, the dogs.
I'm taking Mark Dacascos as Zero. He is the big bad at the end of the movie.
Yeah. That's a good grab.
I know we're not talking, I know we're not going into super plot points, but one of my favorite aspects of the third act of the third movie here is sort of the video game-ness to it. Like John Wick has one level that he has to beat, and then he goes up to the second level, has to beat those guys, and it's harder, and then he goes up to the third level, and it's the boss, right? This sort of like this sort of like video gaminess to it, like, was so perfect. But Zero, to top it all off, he eventually stood no chance against John Wick. Certainly, you're not going to kill off the main character of this franchise, but his sort of his love for John Wick, his sort of awe moment, like fanboy style comedy that we see between him and Wick is just, it's flawless in this movie. Like, it's just so good. And I love that character. Yeah.
Like, it's truly funny. It's entertaining. Mm-hmm. It's nice. It pulls you out of that the seriousness of the moment at just the right time, just the right place. The way they did that, masterful.
My favorite line from him was let me just catch my breath, as a sword is in his heart, essentially.
Yeah, he's been sliced, diced, and impaled.
Yeah, it's it's awesome. And go ahead. Got another one?
Gosh, yeah. I'm trying to decide between them. Okay. I'm gonna take one that is probably a bit of surprise, but the actor is Jason Mantzoukas, and he plays the TikTok man. He's just one of what's his name? The Bowery King, Lawrence Fishburne's like hench dudes, bums. I think he is good in everything he's in. I think he's funny. He's one of those comedic relief characters.
Yeah.
And I forgot he was in it. So when I rewatched it, I was like, yeah, I like him. Okay. And so it just made me happy seeing him in it. He kind of plays a different character. He's not really a comedian in this, but he is a comedian. So he's just funny, and he adds a little bit of levity to the situations that he's found himself in, which is in these franchises always bad.
All right. I guess I'll just take Halle Berry's character, Sophia. I thought that some of the scenes between her and John Wick were a little rough as far as the dialogue. But
yes,
I think overall her character was fun. It was, I think after seeing 2 movies of just John Wick in those action scenes and just being an awesome like Reaper of Souls, right? It was kind of a sort of moment of brevity and just relief to see another character being that type of person too. So I did like that action scene, and I did like Sophia in that. So that's why I will take her. I think that she does have some credence to be in this movie. So.
Man, all right. We're going to talk about that later when we talk about the gripes.
All right. This is going to be hard. I want 2 favorite action scenes of the whole trilogy.
Oh, the whole trilogy. Jeez.
Whole trilogy, 2 favorite action scenes.
Okay. First off, I love the fight scene from the first movie when the Russians send the goon squad or the hit squad to his house. The very first scene where we see who John Wick is. Yeah. That scene done so well that they basically recreated that for the Reacher series on Amazon. Just like a doled down version of John Wick's action scene in the house. It's amazing.
Okay. I like that. I think that was such a good sort of scene to bring him back into the fold. Like, these people had no chance. Like, even a John Wick that has been out of the game for as many years as he was, they still like stood no chance. Absolutely
he was
no
5
chance.
years out the game.
And I'm just going to comment on that scene right now because it is one of my missteps. And so we'll talk about some of the things we didn't like in a moment, but I love how tactical that scene is. It is so tactical. The way that John Wick knows his house, the way that he is able to take the goons off one by one, sometimes 1 by 2, right? It's just sort of a flawless scene from the first movie. Okay.
All right. What's your scene?
I'm sticking with this first movie again.
Oh, okay.
It is my favorite action scene in the whole movie is when he drives into that one person, he flops over his roof and simultaneously shoots him through the roof. It is the greatest scene.
At the end of the film.
The greatest action scene in this whole trilogy, in my opinion. I love it. It is so good.
It was great. It was great. Like, unrealistic, sure, but like, come on now.
I don't care if it's unrealistic. I remember seeing this movie in theaters. My jaw dropped, and everybody cheered at that moment. It was so good. All right, your next action scene. You got one more to choose
from the whole franchise, right? From all 3 movies.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Then I will take the boss fight, the one that you just talked about.
Okay.
The leveling up for the first set of twins, the second set of twins, and then taking on Zero. Done so well. I love the idea of Zero sitting above and watching everything happen because he truly is a fan of John Wick. He really believes that John Wick is the best. and he's watching a master at work. Like he's watching the best performance he could ever hope to see. And you see it in his face, and the way that they just show it, and like the love that he has for what John Wick does is so easily noticed as a viewer. And then obviously the fighting in that scene is just great.
Yeah.
So that would be my number 2.
Surprisingly, I'm sticking with the third movie again too, just like you. Got great minds think alike. I think that the beginning of John Wick 3 is arguably the strongest opening to this whole series. I love it so much. And I'm going to choose the specific fight where all the knives and swords are on display. And at the beginning of the movie, he's fighting a bunch of these people and he's chucking knives at everybody. He's getting knives chucked at him too.
Literally.
But what's so cool about it, the little subtle difference is that even in that knife fight, when they are throwing knives, you see how much of a different level John Wick is to everybody else. Because I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when they're throwing the knives, you could even hear the sound cue that they are missing the blade. They are hitting John Wick with just the back of the knife, which does not stab them. So you hear the thud, and then every single knife that John Wick throws, you hear the slice. You hear it puncture them. And it's just such a brilliant and awesome action scene. So good to watch. Oh, it's just tremendous.
And there's one moment in that fight where he catches one of the knives thrown at him.
Yeah.
And then throws it back. I don't know if you noticed that, but he literally
100%.
pulls back and grabs it and then chucks it back and like hits the dude in the shoulder with it. And you're like, okay, that happened.
100%. Okay. Let's get into it. Let's make it a little quicker though. Let's go 2 missteps. So 2 things that we thought were missteps of the trilogy. Any gripes that you have? Go ahead.
Absolutely. Halle Berry. She shouldn't have been in the films. The whole thing for me, pointless for her to be in there. Like, why? Just why? I didn't enjoy her character. All the dialogue was pretty terrible. And then she just ends up being like emotional and stupid when supposedly she's like really good at what she does. I didn't need her.
I will disagree. I think that some of those scenes were a bit awkward, as you said, with the dialogue, but I think what her character does is sort of just, again, it is this building of the world that we need, because so far in the first 2 movies, John Wick is essentially only tied to his wife, and then in the second movie we get this aspect of he's tied to Santino, right? He's got that blood oath. And I think that as you explore this whole series, you sort of see the relationships that he had beforehand and is building out his character and the world even more so. So I don't think it was a misstep. But I obviously it is your opinion. So I will stick with that movie. I think the Adjudicator, I think that the concept of the character is brilliant. The character itself. But unfortunately, I still think she did a good job as far as, acting. She was good. But Asia Kate Dillon is her name. I don't think she was as intimidating as the Adjudicator, to me, needed to be. Like, she seemed very matter of fact and she seemed very powerful, but she didn't seem very intimidating. And maybe that intimidation is in her just sort of delegating the murder, right? She is delegating what Zero and his crew is doing. But ultimately, like, you see it. Winston didn't care. The Bowery King didn't care. Like, these people did not care what she was saying. And so I think that you needed a little bit more intimidation from her. That's just me.
Yeah, her power came from her position only. Yeah. She had no actual like scariness to her. She was just like the same issue that I had with the Ruby character from the second film. Not intimidating, not a good counter to any of the assassins in these films.
Yeah. All right, what's your second misstep?
Ooh, second misstep. People are not going to like me for this one. I don't like that he doesn't give his dog a name. The second dog. Pets need names. Like, come on now. A good pet owner, you give your pet a name.
I am
good
so
dog.
close to
Sit
retracting
dog.
this misstep from the record, but we'll go with it. Here's my second misstep.
Pets need names.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Here's my second misstep. Going from John Wick 1 to John Wick 2. John Wick 1, again, like this is such an outlandish action movie series, right? Like this is not necessarily real at all. At all.
No.
But John Wick 1 had sort of this style of action sequences that seemed, again, very tactical, and what seemed to be very plausible and rooted to the ground, right? Then you go into John Wick 2, and the difference was pretty apparent from the start. I think John Wick 2 suffers from what I will call stormtrooper syndrome. John Wick as this just one character being able to run away from the amount of bullets that are going to him just sort of takes the feel out of some of those action movies, or action sequences. Like, guys, I understand it. Like, this John Wick is not supposed to die, right? But that's what I loved about the first movie, that in each of those action sequences, it had sort of this like tactical feel to it, where John Wick was picking them apart one by one, and he was being an assassin, right? You know, whereas in the second one, it was just like these firefights, which were still fun. I loved watching it, obviously.
Absolutely.
Obviously, it's really good stuff. But I wish there was more of these sort of like tactical action sequences in the second movie. And obviously going to the third movie, I liked that they sort of backed away a little bit from that. Obviously you have this like Halle Berry scene with that.
Maybe
sure.
a little bit, yeah.
I'm saying a little bit because John Wick 3 and what grew on me in my second watch, I've only seen John Wick 3 twice. And so yesterday when I watched it before we recorded today was my second viewing. Like, it really grew on me, sort of the martial arts aspect to it and sort of the kung fu style of it. Which,
yes, there was a lot more hand to hand, a lot more blades. I agree. I think that was great that they kind of evolved into hey, bullets are pretty accurate, actually. People can be inaccurate with them, but they go in a pretty dang straight line. And if you're pointing at a person, they're probably going to hit them before they can move.
So yeah, that's where I'll go. Joe, really quick, let me ask you this final question before we get into our ratings. Are these movies just dumb action flicks, or does it have a compelling story? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. I think they are absolutely dumb action flicks. And if you just watched the first one, you get a great, compelling story. I think if you continue through them, the story falls off quite a bit. But if you just want to sit down for some dumb action, buckle up, freaking fasten your seatbelts. You're about to go on a ride.
In writing that question, I didn't realize or didn't think that the possibility of a yes to both of those questions would fit. And so you're right. I will retract. I will retract what I was thinking. I think the compelling story side of things, though, is a little bit more of a yes for me. I think that John Wick as a character, as a mythos in this series and the world building that they have established, I think it's an incredibly compelling story. I really do. I think that sort of this hierarchy that they've established that John Wick is trying to diffuse is a good story in and of itself. But it is also just a dumb action movie that like you don't really have to pay attention to really understand what's going on, and you'll get some awesome action scenes with it. So,
you can enjoy the heck out of it if you mute it.
Yeah, right.
Like that's how good the dumb action is. You don't have to listen to it or anything. You can
The
just
choreography
put
is
it on
great.
in the background. Yeah, and
100%.
you'll see fun dumb action, shooting, the martial
100%.
arts, the blade work, even some of like the dumb things like the car driving and the motorcycle chase scenes and stuff like that. Like all of that, it's just it feeds into like just straight up dumb action in the best way possible.
Yeah, 100%.
Dumb just being a term, a loving term of, easily to enjoy.
Yes, of course. All right, Joe, let me get your ratings. 5 out of 5 on the trilogy as a whole. I know that
trilogy as a whole.
Trilogy as a whole.
We're
I know
gonna
that might be
knock
hard.
it down. It's gonna be a 4.
Or if it's a trilogy
if it was
as a whole.
I'd probably go 5 for the first movie and then like a 4 for the other two. But the average is gonna be 4.
Okay. There you go. So that is great on our scale.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No. I'm man, after my second viewing of the third movie, I am a lot higher on the third movie than I was after initial watch. So I'm actually going to go with 5 out of 5 for this entire trilogy. I love it.
Okay.
I think the action sequences alone carry these movies, but you have to me a compelling story as well as a compelling character in John Wick to bring it up as well. So I'm going 5 out of 5. Hey, that's our John Wick trilogy love letter.
Boom.
I want to let you know that we will be reviewing the fourth movie, and so we will have a review of the quadrilogy on our channels. So stay tuned for that. We will
series.
Yeah, we will watch. We'll get John Wick 4 review as soon as we can. So yeah, let us know what you think of the trilogy down below in the comments. Again, if you're listening to us on just a podcast, just the audio listeners, YouTube is going to be the best way to connect with us on the comment section. If you do want to, you could DM us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter at WhatTheFunPod. So those are probably the two best places to connect with us, and we would love to do so. Keep in mind to leave us a review, subscribe to all the platforms. Make sure you follow us on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you follow us on Spotify. Following will help us out in the algorithm. Really, really, truly appreciate all the support and listens that you guys have been giving us recently. It's sort of humbling a little bit. So without, we don't have anything else to say. This has been our John Wick trilogy review. And that's Joe. I'm Mike. This has been What the Fun Show. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
I'm back.
Yeah.